Hey guys, let's talk about using the GI Bill on active duty. So there are some things to consider that you don't hear about a lot. You get a lot of briefs or maybe see a lot of things on using the GI Bill once you're out of the military. But I had to do a lot of research to learn the things that I've learned about using the GI Bill while you're in the military. There's not a lot out there, which is kind of surprising. I've done a lot of Googling and a lot of research, and there's just limited information. So here's what you need to know. If you have the chance, or if you had the chance and you took it to enroll in the Montgomery GI Bill, I know when I came in, all of us did the Montgomery GI Bill, and recently I think you could opt into it and pay the $1,200 or whatever it is. Regardless, if you were on the Montgomery GI Bill, don't change to the post 9/11 GI Bill until you're transitioning off of active duty. And here's why. So once you're off of active duty and you're going to college, the post 9/11 GI Bill is fantastic. You get, your tuition's paid for, you get the $1,000 a year book stipend, and you get the monthly housing allowance, which is great. So just like everybody else, I'm a big fan of the post 9/11 GI Bill. What I found though when doing research for myself on potentially using the GI Bill while on active duty for my graduate degree is that it's not as great. So you're still draining those benefits and it's paying for your college, but at the same time, you are not eligible for that housing allowance. So let's say conservatively, that housing allowance is $1,000 a month that you would be getting if you weren't on active duty. Over a year, that's $12,000 that you're not getting, which didn't make me feel good about it, especially because in particular, I have done transfer of education benefits to my daughter. So any GI Bill that I use is not only, taking away potentially monthly housing allowance that I could have benefited from, but if I don't use it, my daughter can use it in the future for her school. So what I found out, but there's also a catch to it. When I did the transfer of education benefits, I was forced to go to the post 9/11 GI Bill. So that's something to consider as well. So if you're on the Montgomery GI Bill though, there is a better answer. The top-up program, TOP-UP, top-up. So top-up is a fantastic program for active duty military using the GI Bill. So how it works is with the Montgomery GI Bill, the benefits are drained. With the top-up program, the benefits are drained by the amount of money that you use. So with each, you have 36 months of benefits. So with the GI Bill, you have that's how they track it. So 36 months of GI Bill benefits. With top-up, if the difference between what TA, so you can use TA in conjunction with the top-up program. So let's say tuition is $500 per credit hour for your school. And that's the military rate. You can't get better than that. Tuition assistance will pay $250 of that $500, which still leaves $250 per credit hour on every credit hour that you're taking. So if you apply through the VA and get approved to use your top-up, which you should if you have valid benefits, then there's a little checkbox that you can check when you're doing your tuition assistance request. So you request a class, and it's going to be over the TA rate, so you can hit a checkbox, and that's going to bring in the top-up. So instead of you paying out of pocket the $250 a credit hour, which means $750 a class, top-up will now fill that gap. So it will be TA paying $750 of that class fee, and then the tuition, and then top-up comes in and pays the other $750 of that tuition for that class, totaling the $1,500 at $500 per credit hour. So that's how top up works. You can see how that could save you a lot of money and allow you to be a lot more flexible while on active duty. And it would only drain at that rate. That's not a lot of money as far as the GI Bill is concerned. So it would drain at a slower rate than if you were using the post 9/11, which would pay that full $1,500. You wouldn't even use the tuition assistance at all, which is a waste. So it would pay the $1,500 with the post 9/11 using it on active duty. And depending on it's by what rate you're going. So if you're going half time according to the school or full time, that's the rate at which it takes away from your post 9/11 GI Bill. So if you're going what they consider to be half time for an undergraduate student for a year, it's going to draw 6 months of the 36 months post 9/11 GI Bill. That's because half rate. So if you're going full time for a year using the post 9/11 GI Bill on active duty, it would draw a year. So 12 months out of the 36. And the whole time you're not getting any monthly housing allowance. You are eligible for the $1,000 a year book voucher though. So that is a plus. So your tuition would be paid and you would get the book voucher, but you would not get the monthly housing allowance with the post 9/11 GI Bill while on active duty. So hopefully I didn't create more questions than you had coming in, but if I did create some questions, post in the comments and I will answer what I can for you. Thanks for tuning in. I hope it helped you out.